So yeah, how are you guys? I know I was not really active for a very long time, but now I'll be posting on a regular basis. I hope you guys enjoy my videos. I found some of the most sus Reddit stories for you guys. I'll be reading them while I roam around in my Minecraft world. Let's get into the first one. The title is I found out my girlfriend's been visiting her ex's apartment building every week for 6 months. We've been together 2 years. Things have generally been solid. A few weeks ago, her location shared with me through an app glitched and briefly showed a full history I wasn't supposed to see. Every Tuesday for the past 6 months, she's been at the same address for exactly 90 minutes, always in the evening. I looked it up. It's an apartment complex. I asked her about Tuesdays specifically, casually, no accusation. She said it was a standing therapy session. I checked. There's no therapy office at that address, just residential units. I haven't confronted her with what I actually know yet. I don't know how to bring up that I saw her location history without admitting I was essentially tracking her, even though I didn't mean to. I looked deeper and found out her ex from before me moved into that exact building 8 months ago. I don't have proof they're together, just the pattern and the lie about therapy. Not sure what to do with this. The lie is really the whole story here, not just the location pattern. If she genuinely had an innocent reason for being there every week, therapy is a strange, specific thing to lie about, since that's usually something people are more comfortable admitting to than hiding. The fact that she reached for a fabricated explanation instead of the truth tells you she already knew this needed covering up. I get feeling weird about how you found this out, but you didn't go digging. It surfaced accidentally, and now you're just sitting on information you can't unsee. I think you have to bring it up directly, own that you saw it by accident, and ask her plainly what's actually happening on Tuesdays. Whatever the real answer is, I lied about therapy, is already a much bigger problem on its own than whatever she's actually doing at that address. Moving on to story number 2. Am I the asshole for confronting my mom after finding out my aunt is actually my half-sister? Growing up, my mom's much younger sister, Renee, was basically a second mom to me, only 12 years older than me, always around for holidays, birthdays, everything, always just introduced as my aunt. Going through my mom's old paperwork this year helping her downsize, I found adoption records. Renee isn't my mom's sister, she's my mom's daughter, given up for adoption to my grandparents when my mom was 17, then raised as her own younger sister so the whole extended family, including Renee herself apparently, never had to know the real story. I confronted my mom directly. She admitted it, said her parents made the decision at the time to avoid the scandal of a teen pregnancy, and once Renee was old enough to ask questions, everyone had already committed so hard to the sister story that undoing it felt impossible. My mom begged me not to say anything to Renee, said it would destroy her sense of identity at this point in her life. Am I the asshole for wanting to at least tell Renee the truth about who she actually is? This is such a heavy one, honestly. I don't think you're wrong for wanting Renee to know everyone deserves the truth about their own origin, especially something this fundamental to her identity. But I also understand your mom's fear here. This isn't just an awkward secret, it's decades of an entire family structure built around a lie that Renee herself has been living inside without any say in it. I don't think there's a version of this where nobody gets hurt. If you tell her, she loses the version of her life she's always understood, and gains a truth she never got to choose for herself. If you stay quiet, you're now carrying the same secret that hurt everyone else in this story for the last 30 years. I think Renee deserves to know eventually, but this probably isn't a decision to make unilaterally on your mom's behalf either. It might be worth pushing your mom to be the one to actually tell her, rather than you doing it for her. Okay, story number 3. Am I the asshole for reading my dad's will out loud at the funeral reception instead of waiting for the lawyer? My dad passed a few weeks ago. He'd always been very open that he wanted his estate split evenly between me and my 2 siblings, said it multiple times over the years. No secrets about it. At the reception after the funeral, my older brother stood up and started telling extended family and friends that he'd be handling everything as the responsible one, implying he'd already been given control of the estate. I knew for a fact that wasn't true. My dad had shown me the actual will years ago, and I still had a copy in my email from when he'd sent it to all three of us for transparency. In the moment, frustrated watching my brother essentially rewrite the narrative in front of everyone, I pulled it up on my phone and read the actual distribution out loud, right there at the reception. My brother was humiliated, stormed out, hasn't spoken to me since. My sister thinks I handled it the wrong way, should have waited for the actual lawyer meeting instead of making it a public scene at Dad's funeral reception of all places. Am I the asshole? I get the impulse completely. Watching someone misrepresent something that significant in real time is genuinely maddening. But the setting here really was the problem, not the correction itself. You had every right to shut down the lie, but a funeral reception with extended family and friends around is about as public and humiliating a venue as you could have picked for it. I think you were right on the facts and wrong on the delivery. A quiet word to your brother in the moment, or waiting the very short amount of time until the actual lawyer meeting, would have corrected the same lie without turning your dad's funeral into a public spectacle. I don't think you're a villain here, but I do think this is one of those situations where being technically correct doesn't automatically mean you handled it well. Check out story number 4. Am I the asshole for pulling my gift from my brother's baby shower after finding a paternity test in his trash? My brother and his wife are expecting their first kid in a few weeks. I'd already bought a genuinely expensive gift for the shower, a full nursery set, easily the most I've ever spent on a gift for anyone. 2 days before the shower, I was helping him move some boxes out of his garage and noticed an envelope from a lab in his recycling bin. Wasn't snooping intentionally, it was just sitting open on top. It was a paternity test. Results showed he's not the biological father. I didn't say anything to him yet. I froze completely and just left. That night, I quietly returned the nursery set and told him I'd have something else for the shower instead, no explanation given. He got weirdly insistent, asking why, said the original gift was perfect, pushed pretty hard on it. I panicked and just told him I found something more personal instead, which was a lie. I actually just didn't want to show up with an expensive gift for a situation I now knew was more complicated than he probably realizes. His wife has no idea I saw anything. I don't know if he already knows and is choosing to stay anyway, or if this is going to blow up completely once the baby's born, and he sees the results eventually himself if he hasn't already. Am I the asshole for pulling the gift without saying why? And honestly, do I even say anything at all here? Okay, this is a lot heavier than a returned gift, honestly. Pulling the gift itself isn't the issue at all. You're not wrong for that. Nobody's entitled to a specific present, regardless of what's going on behind the scenes. The bigger question you're actually sitting with is whether you say anything about what you saw, and that one's genuinely difficult. If there's any chance he already knows and has made peace with raising this child, regardless of biology, that's his decision to make, and you dropping this on him could blow up a choice he's already consciously made. But if he has no idea, you're sitting on information that fundamentally changes his entire situation, and that's an incredibly heavy thing to carry alone. I don't think there's a clean right answer here. I'd probably lean toward not bringing it up unprompted, but if he ever directly asks you why you're acting strange, I don't think lying to his face again is sustainable either. This isn't really an am I the asshole situation anymore. It's just a genuinely difficult position to be in. Moving on to story number 5. Am I the asshole for refusing to change my daughter's name after finding out it's identical to my husband's ex's name? We named our daughter a name we both genuinely loved, picked it together months before she was born. No issues at the time. A few weeks after she was born, my mother-in-law let it slip that it's the exact same name as my husband's serious ex-girlfriend from before we met, a 5-year relationship that ended badly according to her. My husband swears he wasn't consciously thinking about his ex when we picked it, says he just genuinely liked the name on its own merits. I believe he probably didn't consciously connect it in the moment, but now that I know, I can't stop thinking about it every time I say my own daughter's name. I asked if we could consider a middle name switch to go by instead. He thinks I'm overreacting to a coincidence at this point, since our daughter's already 3 months old and it's on the birth certificate. Am I the asshole for still being bothered by this, even though he insists it was unintentional? I don't think you're wrong for feeling weird about it. That's a genuinely uncomfortable coincidence to sit with, even if it really was unconscious on his part. Names carry a lot of emotional weight, and finding out after the fact that you've been calling your daughter the same name as a serious ex for 3 months is going to mess with your head regardless of anyone's intentions. That said, I don't think a name change at this point is really practical or fair to your daughter, who now has an identity attached to that name completely independent of either of their history. I think the real thing here is less about the name and more about needing your husband to genuinely sit with why it's bothering you instead of just labeling it a coincidence and moving on. He might not have consciously chosen it because of her, but dismissing your discomfort entirely isn't really acknowledging how strange this situation actually is for you. I think is going to be the last one. Story number 6. I've been quietly draining our joint wedding fund for 2 years to pay off a gambling debt my fiancé doesn't know about. My fiancé and I have been saving for our wedding in a joint account for the past 3 years. About 2 years ago, I developed a gambling problem I never told him about, mostly online betting that spiraled fast. I started pulling small amounts from our joint savings to cover losses, always telling myself I'd pay it back before he noticed. And somehow he never checked the account closely since I handled most of the finances. We're now 4 months from the wedding date, and the account that should have around $40,000 in it has less than 6. I haven't told him anything yet. I've been quietly gambling to try to win back what I took, which has obviously made everything worse instead of better. I don't know how to tell him the wedding we've been planning for years might not be financially possible anymore, or that the reason has nothing to do with the wedding at all. This one's heavy, and I think the actual gambling problem, as serious as it is, isn't even the most urgent thing here anymore. You're 4 months out from a wedding built on a financial foundation that doesn't exist, and every day you don't say anything is another day closer to him finding out in the worst possible way, at a vendor meeting, or trying to make a final payment that bounces. I think this needs to come out now, both the money and the gambling problem itself, together, not separately. He deserves to know before he's making decisions about a wedding based on numbers that aren't real. This is going to be an incredibly difficult conversation, but the version where he finds out on his own, closer to the date, with less time to actually process or adjust anything, is going to be so much worse for both of you than telling him directly right now. That's everything I've got for today. Thanks for hanging out through all of that. Let me know your own takes in the comments. And if you've got a wild one you think I should read next time, drop it below. Catch you in the next one.